Is here. He's a busy man. And we have the delegation from the Electoral Commission. Our agenda will be, we shall have the prayers, and we had said this meeting should take about 45 minutes at most. We shouldn't drag, it's just really a follow-up meeting. We shall have prayers, we shall have introduction, we shall have communication from the chair, response from the Ministry of Finance, discussions if they are, and then adjournment. So can we have the prayers?
Let's humble ourselves and we pray. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness have appointed the offices of leaders in Parliament for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity. We beseech you to look upon with your abundant favor these your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of such important trust in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to their charge. Amen.
Thank you. I'm Jacob Oboth, Member of Parliament, West Kudama South, Tororo District, and the humble chairperson of this committee. Next.
I'm Sam Bitangaro, Member of Parliament of Fumbira South and Soro District, and Vice Chair of this committee.
Member of Parliament, member of this
Comes in. Most people, when they see women in Parliament, women MPs, they think all women represent districts, or people with disability or what. These women, the two of them there, each represent the constituency. So if it was just Honorable Robina, you would say because the husband is in the Electoral Commission. But there is one from Kaveramaita. And they are among the 19, only 19 women, 18 or 19. The number has never gone beyond 19. Yes. Now, and it's amazing when you contest with a lady, you have to put your things together. I have tested. It is not easy. Yeah. The women have a lot of propaganda sometimes. Yes, next.
I'm Robin Abureme Wakojo, MP for Gomba West.
Yes, next.
There was one meeting, the one next one. CMT Ibrahim, I represent Chairman.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Makeno Roslin, a Member of Parliament for Karayan District.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Museum Joseph Gonzaga, Karun County.
Yes. And the Minister, it's a tradition. These people know you, but just for our record that you are here, then they have all the recognition of this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Your names are KASSAIJA. I'm a Member of Parliament for Ganja County in Chibale District, but also Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development.
Next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Justice Yabakama Mugeni, Chairperson, Electoral Commission.
Chair, honorable members, my name is Sam Raposo. I'm the Secretary and Accountant of this Honorable Chair, my name is Stephen Tashovia.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. My name is Sajata Shalbega, Deputy Chairperson of the Commission. Thank you, Chair and honorable members. I'm Nathalie Netomaru, the Commissioner.
you, Chair and all members.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Justin.
Today we have full board. One missing. Yes. So why did you ask Hajet about answer? No, I didn't. Okay, next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joseph Luanga, Head Finance and Acting Director of Finance and Administration.
Honorable Chair and members, Pontius Namugera, Director Technical Support Services.
Okay, you can have one microphone on. Okay, there is one. This is for the former chair of this committee. I'm sure when he's in this room, he still feels he's the chair. But, so if the microphone of the chair must be on. Yes, the staff. The staff.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Max Kumagach from the Clerk List Committee.
Next.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Senyanyi David from the Economics List Committee.
Yes, next. Thank you. An international student in one of the Ugandan universities and is here on internship and attached to this committee. So, those who have not introduced themselves, they could be the press. When they knew you were coming, I think they're your friends. We don't usually get that kind of coverage here. Yeah. Our committee is purely technical. We don't make news. We don't make news, but now they have a newsmaker here. So, honorable colleagues and honorable Minister of Finance and the delegation from Electoral Commission, I want to welcome you to this second meeting on this matter that is before us. This is a follow-up meeting, as I had said earlier, to receive feedback, especially on the commitments made by the Minister of Finance to reach on an agreeable position on the election financing. We were here last, Honorable Minister, and I must thank you. We were during the processing of this budget framework paper. It's not a normal proceeding that we would call you here. But I met you in the canteen, actually. I told you and you said, no, I would be willing to come. And then you told me you were traveling to London. And even while you were away, your colleague was able to respond and you came here with the director budget. We want to thank the Minister of Finance for that, being very responsive, and we really appreciate it. And today, you are now here. This demonstrates that you're very committed and your ministry is committed to resolving the impasse. And some people have made some jokes that if there is no money, then there is no election. But I know that Electoral Commission coming to us in this committee, we held them accountable that how far, how ready are you? And in the process, we discovered that the money they have is up to nomination. So it's not in any way that they're saying the Minister of Finance has refused to give them money. But it was the interest of the committee that we should invite you and you let us know the status of financing of these elections. And while we were here last week, we got confirmation that there will be money for funding. Now you are here today as the substantive Minister of Finance, which position you hold in the Constitution you are holding also for somebody else. When I read the Constitution, when you are talking here, we know that you are talking. Honorable Minister, the way I know you, you are going to give Ugandans hope. You are going to give this committee money for the Electoral Commission. I want to invite you. Honorable Semunju thinks that we should take away hope, but
I thought he's going to give us information.
now, the way, you see, that's the difference. My upbringing indicates that when somebody is telling you something good, that is hope, brings hope. And the hope here I'm referring to is about money, not promises. Is that what you wanted me to say? And it's the Minister of Finance. Without hope, we are useless, I believe. Yeah, Honorable Minister, it's your time to interact with the members.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is hope for sure. And to seal it in well, that elections will be held. Absolutely. That's a given. There's no argument, there is no debate on that. Now, on money, I met this morning members of the Electoral Commission and other stakeholders who are involved in the electionary, police, prisons, NIRA, and so forth. Those who are directly connected with the connection of elections. We agreed this morning because of financial constraints within the Treasury that we will go back and look through with my technical officers where we can reduce, if possible. And Chairman, here you will testify, we agreed, and I said, I want to know the final figure before Friday. So there is still some more homework to do. I have figures there which I don't want to read it to you because they are subject now to this decision that we took this morning. So really, in short, Mr. Chairman and members, first of all, there will be elections. Anybody who is saying there's no election is telling a lie. Government is committed by constitution, by all means, there will be elections. Yes, there are financial constraints on the Treasury, but this is one of our top priorities, and we shall do our level best to make sure that we fund the election the best way possible. As to actual figures, please bear with me, Mr. Chairman, the committee members. I don't know whether you want me to come back here on a Friday or something like that, then I will be able to come. Or, no, I don't need to come actually once we have known, then we'll announce. We'll announce that the Electoral Commission, this is your share. Police, this is your share. NIRA, this is your share, and so forth. That is what the information is, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Chairman, Electoral Commission, can you confirm you had a meeting? I know that who drives through the process of the other when he's going home? But anyway.
Honorable Makia is everywhere. So. Thank you, Honorable Chair and members of the committee. Indeed, this morning we had a meeting with the Minister of Finance, together with the other stakeholders whose activities also related to elections. Now, Minister of Finance pointed out the financial constraints they are faced with, or the country is faced with, and pointed out the need for us as the Electoral Commission to review the budget. Now, we expressed the difficulties that we are encountering in not having adequate funds for the entire electoral roadmap activities. But as the minister said, it was recognized that because of the severe financial constraints, the Electoral Commission goes back, looks at the budget, and identifies those areas where cuts may be made. It's a difficult task, but we are going to see what can be done and get back to the Ministry of Finance. That's all I need to say, unless the accounting officer has something to add. Thank you.
The accounting officer is now using sign language. What can you verbalize them?
Chair, I was saying that I have nothing to
Thank you. And yes, any reaction? I will start with Kalumo.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Mutende.
I want to thank the minister, but you know, him sitting next to the chairman of the commission, the chairman will not give his feeling openly. And indeed, as if the minister is saying that without cutting, there is no money. Already other departments and ministries, you have cut their budget. Where is that money going? You've said that the electoral commission is top priority. And indeed it's top priority. It is from his own submission. Now, it wouldn't be fair, and I will not support that the only remedy for granting electoral commission money is by first revisiting their budget. I expect and believe that by the time this people generated their budget, they looked at all those major requirements. That's why he has sort of said that his justice, as I already said that yes, he told us, and they feel it is something very different. He has said it here.
So
But
in your view,
in my view, I want the Honorable Minister,
the chairperson is shy.
of course, under the Minister of Finance, and the desire he wants, he cannot open up himself very well. But for us, we are helping him. I would like to request the Honorable Minister that this committee is interested. They looked at the budget of the Electoral Commission and found it fair. Let me use that word. It was fair as was produced by the Commission. Let you state here by yourself that money will be available. The issue of Friday cutting should not arise because this is a major priority. And debates, complaints, statements will be made during campaigns. Money will be available for other activities. So we don't want to see these people getting stuck. Today fuel is at 3,900 or 4,000. By the time we go for campaigns, maybe it will be at 4,500. But the budget was cut. That one, I am not going to support the Honorable Minister. And that's why he has been very careful not to move with his technocrats to come here. Because he's playing a political role in the ministry. Let me say that as a lawyer.
Actually, we invited the minister.
Only. But it would have been incumbent
But
on him
if the
bring some
minister
technical
comes
people.
and is either adequately answering our questions.
So, Mr. Chairman, as I conclude,
Yes.
you see, why the Electoral Commission came out to say that there is no money, it was again from them. Finance. They wouldn't have said it if it was not finance. I would believe so. So, let us get that statement that there is no cut, and the Honorable Minister be open. Is this your condition? If they fail to cut, is there no money? If they don't cut, will you give money? So what type of cuts do you want? Why don't you generate them by yourself? They gave you the budget. Look at those areas you believe that will be wasteful expenditures in the commission. Cut them by yourselves. You have done it to other entities.
Okay, so one important point you're making, of the several you made, is that why can't the Minister of Finance look at the budget and consider what is important and fund them? Actually, the Honorable Minister, last time we were here, there was evidence that there was a lot of cutting. And this cutting now has reached the bone. So it seems like there's no more flesh. And every item is costed. costed with the time frame. Costed with the time frame. So, Honorable Mitoma, do you want to be on record? And then I'll come to
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I am Toba Kamandeka, representing the people of Mitoma District. Honorable Chair, if I may, we are just in the process of crafting the budget. So how can we talk of budget cuts now? I thought we would now try and provide money that is necessary for all the items all the programs that we want to undertake, chief amongst them, the elections. So how can we be talking about budget cuts? I think the minister is just trying to intimidate us, because everybody knows that it is the parliament that allocates resources. Thank you.
Yes, Minister is taking note, and some comments, some observation and questions you will clarify. Yes, Honorable Rose.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Chair, I think we are getting a bit disturbed by the words of the minister. Because I remember last week when we sat here and when we were checking on the report of the budget of the Electoral Commission. And I remember clearly you even stated that everything was clearly put down from day one up to the last. And last week, when the Minister of State for Finance was here, he didn't talk about budget cuts. He assured us that he's going there and he will come back to assure us that the money will be there for the Electoral Commission. Now, when a full minister comes and begins telling us about budget cuts, are we going to have a free and fair elections in this country? Because if you begin now talking about budget cuts, you even called the Electoral Commission aside, first to go and talk to them in the morning. As my colleague is saying, that it seems the justice...
That is allowed in government.
It's allowed, but now, that's why Honorable Teacher was saying, it seems the chairman is getting a bit intimidated, because that's why he's talking like that. Because sincerely, we need this money, and this money is not even for the Electoral Commission, not for the chairman, but it's for this country. Mr. Minister, sir, we need the money, but not to say you cut the money of the Electoral Commission. Maybe you cut for other entities, but don't cut for the Electoral Commission, because we need the money, we need the elections. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Semuju.
The Honorable Matia KASSAIJA is usually a very honest person. He has said his wish is that there will be election. 2, there is no money to fully fund these elections. That's how I understood it. The wish is that there should be election.
I don't think you say what he said. I don't think you should put.
I can't say what he said because he said it. It's now my time.
Okay, so you are putting it as.
I am the consumer of what he has said.
So as he has.
I am telling you that this is how I have understood him.
Yes, you will clarify.
His
Help
wish
him
is that
understand.
there should be election. There is no money to fully fund this election. Therefore, the Electoral Commission should go back and begin cutting. The trouble I have, Mr. Chairman, just look at the last election, because the Electoral Commission can go and cut and simply organize any election because of the money available. Started delivering materials late because of late procurement and all of it. In my own case, where I am an MP, we even had the presiding officers refusing to leave the office where they are taking materials that you first pay us now. That happened. So the question I am asking, because you are saying you go and cut and find, and we are almost in the final phases of budget consideration. since you started your circular so many months ago, you are still cutting, you are still cutting. Today you come near the final stage, you are still cutting. So the question I am asking the Minister of Finance, by him insisting that they should cut, doesn't he expose the Electoral Commission and the country, and proposing the Electoral Commission, they can just simply organize any election within the budget that is provided? Because those of us who are consumers, and I guess everybody is, we are interested in credible elections. And credible elections are time bound. If you've not done a particular procurement this month, then you risk having similar problems we have had. So the question I want, by trying to give you my own understanding of your information, is whether you are now not seeking, pushing Electoral Commission against the wall, so they can simply organize any election.
Thank you. Next, Gomba.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I believe that the process of elections is a constitutional process. This one comes up once every 5 years. Regarding, when you look back to the Supreme Court judgment, there were various requirements of the Electoral Commission amongst other stakeholders. The Electoral Commission responded. They did a roadmap and came up with activities and dates. And they came up with that roadmap way in advance. I remember us attending the ceremony when they opened it up to the public. Now, how can we say that there's no funding? This roadmap had activities that needed to be funded from the time it was done up to the end of the elections. As people are saying, it is time bound. There are even other things that have come up, moving of office. The moving of office involves a lot, and there's also the activities like voter education, which
It's not just moving of office, it's moving of the entire headquarters.
Yes.
With the warehouse or wherever.
We talked about sensitive equipment and all that, and even the time that you take to move and all that. Now, are you going to leave out something like voter education, say, thinking maybe it's not important? Every aspect of the roadmap is important. What are you going to leave out? It's also unfair to this committee, which has to keep sitting. And Mr. Chairman, you know that there is a history of this committee suffering up to the end. We are also affected by the Supreme Court judgment because we are the ones who process what goes to the House. Why doesn't Ministry of Finance accept that the 5 years are coming up, they are coming to an end? Really, you have known for these 5 years. And Mr. Chairman, you're also one of those going to participate. We are all going to participate. We want to go back and have elections, including the head of state. Just fund the activity and look for other activities. Yeah, I said, sorry, I was meaning him, yeah. No, I think it's what I wanted to come back. So honestly, Minister for Finance, if you also want to come back, why not make the process a smooth one for all of us? So in my opinion, I think there should be no cut at all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable Nika Bichekero.
Thank you very much, Honorable Robin. I consumed a bit of what I wanted to say, but I really want to be on record that I respect what the Minister has reported here, having had a meeting with the Electoral Commission, and I also respect what the chair of the Electoral Commission had to say on behalf of the Electoral Commission. The two offices had a mutual meeting, it seems, and they agreed that Friday they will, have something. So I respect that. I don't think anybody was forced to go to the other. Now, the other thing I wanted to have clearly on record is that we had two issues when we discussed this matter last week. One was the issue of funding, which is now being sorted out. But the other one was that Electoral Commission would have to move their headquarters. Can the minister now confirm to us that there will be money to get a suitable home for the Electoral Commission without causing any damage to their equipment and other things? And that, so one, that the elections will be held and there will be enough money. Two, that the election will be held in a proper home, either at the present home or at a new home. I think those are very critical things we must know. Thank you.
Thank you.
No renting, Chair.
Thank you. You want?
Thank you. We had agreed last week that Electoral Commission will not be subjected to renting an office. And I think the whole country is agreeable to that.
Yes?
If you remember, yes, it's both. If you remember when we were discussing that,
the information from you anyway.
For a reminder.
when we were discussing the issue of moving, we noted that for every day that Electoral Commission reports, it's going to cost 300 million to this nation. So that is something that should also be taken into consideration.
Yes. Honorable Vice Chairperson.
I don't want to repeat what others have said. The Honourable Minister of Finance has said they met the chairman this morning and are yet to meet on Friday to agree on what to cut. I think at this time, I think we are jumping the gun. Let's wait until Friday.
Yes, Honorable Minister, you heard the concerns, but there's one very important one also. Among all this, there's in the domestic areas, outstanding domestic areas for data entrance, 363 million. This is from 2010. 2000 what? 2010. We passed a resolution in Parliament, adopted that this money, and this 10,000 to these people who made data entry. They worked for this government. They worked for the agency. We must thank you, the Minister of Finance, for being very cooperative. You were stretched, maybe outstretched, and you considered the plight of the workers in the Electoral Commission up to second phase. It's pending phase 3. One of the concerns of this committee to support them on wage enhancement was that the rampant accusation placed on these people. Somebody is getting 700,000. We are the same people who go to them. One person goes with the 50 million. Declare me. They can, I'm not saying he did so. Yeah. You are not the only person. Okay. One second anyway. Yeah. That's a very perfect example. With this arrogance, he goes to them and says, but how much are you being paid here? Yeah? I'm giving you 50 million. And then you get results distorted. We've seen, I can confess that even myself, I went through that kind of pain of a returning officer not, they are led into temptation. When they say the Lord's Prayer is more meaningful to them than any of us outside. You had done so well. This is a one-time thing. They are not going again to get any salary enhancement until maybe the cows eventually come home. We would also implore you, sir, to be kind-hearted. They might have gotten what appears to be unfair, but they waited for 18 years. So this 363 million, this 11 billion, the issue of the housing. Now, Honorable Bahati, when he was here, and they said issues about the penal tax and what? Tax, he said those are one of the ways you could reconcile and reduce that. I don't know whether that also formed your discussion today. If that would be one of the areas we would be knocking off the budget, and you see how when those taxes can be raised. So before I ask you to respond, I want to have two members whom I've brought them from record to introduce themselves. One is both of them are fairly known to me. Yes. One was the Electoral Commission chairman who elected another one. And when I hear him castigating the Electoral Commission, he does only that when I'm not there. Anyway, Honorable Secretary, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, who was formerly my commissioner, with whom we conducted that fair election, that free and fair election. He has made only one true statement about me as I was entering, that I have money. My name is Medad Lubega Segona. I represent the people of the Siro County East. I am a member of this committee. Thank you.
Can we have that? We know that an electoral commission is prepared for work. In the court, we don't want to lose Honorable Saliwa. Even if he's a German man, he's a nationalist. The application coming up, we don't want to see that court is legislating for this country. Courts can make laws, but only and only when Article 79 of this Constitution is not done well. The issue...
What you are saying, is it for the committee or your personal opinion? Because if the legislature is irresponsible, some of us have been running to court.
Opinion of the committee is reflected in the report. Thank you. Honorable Baba Saluma. And what I'm communicating is I'm not reading any page of report.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for those remarks. Unlike my brother Semuju, I associate with them. Mr. Chairman, my name is Basari Rasman, Bujiri Municipality.
We have Honorable Minister. It's your turn now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and friends. Now, Honorable Semuju, please don't listen to that rumor that I'm not coming back. In my constituency, they say Chikahwa. Chikahwa means finished. I hope you have got the message. So don't have any doubt in your mind. Yes. Now, let me go to the question that I've been raised. Why cuts? I hope you have been following the budget closely, but if you haven't been doing it, then I will just summarize for you. I'm sure I want you to take a note. Our revenues, Mr. Chairman, are not performing as projected. So consequently, the budget deficit is increasing. That's why we think we should go back. Maybe we may not be using the word cuts, because the word cuts is worrying many colleagues. Maybe we could use the word review. Go to review. Let's use the word review. So that's the reason why we are reviewing, with the hope that we could drop some items where they are not fundamental to delay the whole exercise of elections. So be it. Now, it's not my wish of the election to be around. As you know, Mr. Chairman, this is a constitutional responsibility. The question is of issue. So it's not either me or the president or any one of us to decide whether these elections should be held or they should not be held. They must be held because we are running this country in accordance with the constitution which we made ourselves. When you reduce or when you adjust, I will then again use the word to adjust. Aren't you exposing the Electoral Commission to having no watertight election? No, we are not exposing. We are we are very conscious about their mission and what they intend to do in the roadmap. We shall try as best as possible to fund them to be able to do those activities that we have agreed upon. Now, the question of the office. Members, Mr. Chairman, through you.
Chairman, with respect, the minister has repeated the question and answered it, but I thought he answered a different question when he said, when you reduce, are you not disabling the commission? And you said no?
No, you are not, because when you review, you could say, let's reduce this, okay? Maybe in favor of this, or we could still carry out the same activity with less money.
With less money, I can understand. But when you review activity, you are either doing their work or disabling them.
No, I did not say we are the ones to review. We are reviewing jointly. If you came late, so I will excuse you.
It's not about that, Honorable Minister. It is about there is a scheduled, and with respect through your chair, there is a scheduled activity.
Yes.
The experts in this country on elections are right across this table. They have said we want to do the following. For you, you're saying no, I will not give you money for this. And you're saying you're not disabling them?
Supplementary, Honorable Chair, that meeting between the Finance and the Electoral Commission should have happened before they came here. For us, we want answers. You can't come now and say maybe we are going to look at the budget and work hard over it. That should have happened before coming.
I think the Honorable Minister is your choice of words gives the hope, again takes away. So the review, I liked what you said last, that we can maintain the activities but do them with less. That is allowed in budgeting. But when you cut them out, that would bring the fear that Honorable Semuju said that you will let them organize elections anyway. You know, I don't know how that is. Oh,
maybe a
yes.
supplementary question to. I want to note
Again,
just from the minister. You know, he has stated in his own words
he
here.
has not answered you.
No, I want him to give it a rider, and I get.
Okay. Okay.
He has stated, Mr. Chairman, in his own words, that the economy is not doing very well, and I want to find out whether by the time you've said it
No, I said revenue, please. Can you have there is a difference between revenue?
here. What is revenue versus economy?
There
Can you
is
tell
a
us?
big difference between the economy doing very well and the collecting of
But
revenue.
what brings the economy to perform? Honorable Minister, that's why I wanted to ask you. See,
Can I use this opportunity just to... Honorable Semuju, there is a difference between economic growth and revenue collection. Revenue collection, you must have a strategy on how to make sure that every eligible taxpayer pays. You can have the economy growing at a very fast speed, but you are not collecting sufficient revenue to run the government. So there are two different things here. So I'm not talking about... There are two different things, please. You can go and check your economics. If you want to, you can take you back to 1967 economics I ran in university.
He read Livingston and Odd.
Mr. Chairman, we should not be taken for right. How does the economy grow without getting money, revenue?
No, he can borrow as he has always been doing. He can beg.
I think we should not lose track on this. We have a loan request from Minister of Finance about some shortfall, deficit in supporting the budget, right? No. I don't think we need to interject. Allow me be the chair. Allow me be the chair of the session before stating it many times that I'm the chair. I know where you are going. And Honorable Minister, clarify on that, because you had the Honorable Semunja alluded to that already here. So, the issue of revenue collection, they might be cousined with the economic growth, but they are not the same. That's what the Minister said. May you please proceed and...
Thank you. Now let me conclude before I conclude, the moving of the office, the headquarters, again we agreed, we are in consultation with the funders of this project, of the flyovers. We have JICA, but eventually it is the Japanese government. We have agreed that they will allow the Electoral Commission to remain undisturbed until June 2021, which means the elections will be over. Yes, so that's the position. Two, so don't worry about them being not proper house, being evicted by UNRWA. Two, we have agreed that we will provide them housing through either two ways. There is a project, maybe Parliament, maybe I may be saying something Parliament, I have not told the Parliament yet, but you have had the village, the Webaja government village campus. Or we could get a plot somewhere depending on their choice, and we work with the NSSF. NSSF will put up that building. Now, the repayment, the rent they would have paid to if they went and bought a building. Sorry, if the money that they would have paid if they went and bought a building.
I hope you are conscious when you talk about NSSF of the war that may erupt between you and the workers when you're talking about their money.
Yes, we are not taking money for free. I don't know that war. If you could do my son that kind. So I want this committee to rest your thinking that they will not be on the street. And even after elections, definitely they will be housed in a very comfortable building as per our plan.
Yes, on the issue of the house, Mr. Chairman, the minister says that by June elections will be over. But you see, there is also a possibility for there to be petitions. And these petitions can easily arise into by-elections. So you cannot be so certain that it will all be as he suggests. So yes, from presidential, parliamentary, and the like. Because, for example, now, we are going into elections next year. There are still electoral issues before the courts of law. Don't think about mine, but the others, okay? Yes, so I think the issue of housing by the Electoral Commission is very critical. It actually goes beyond the June deadline that UNRWA is giving. So that must be put into consideration, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. We discussed that question this morning. By the time of the end of the financial year, by the end of 21 financial, that is June 21, all the arrangements necessary for them to be able to be adequately housed will be sorted out. That's what I'm saying. So they are not going to be operating from the street. Now, domestic areas, it's a small amount of money. I'm sure accounting officer, this should not really be raising a lot of dust. 300 million, 300 something million, 63. In our figure which we discussed this one, which I don't want to reveal now until we have finalized together by Friday, may I suggest this one should be really clear. Because I hate arrears. I detest arrears. If somebody has really supplied you either good or service, you should pay him in time. So we shall take into account this figure in the overall the figure that we shall agree to release with you to do your job. Mr. Chairman, that's all we really have to say. But otherwise, I'm very grateful. Thank you very much for the ideas that you have given me. And let's move together to really get the election moving.
Abudu Katuntu, be on record. And then finally we shall conclude this matter. Would you want to be on record, the incoming Chief Justice?
I am about to make a ruling.
Yes, of course, we all know that the position of the office of the Chief Justice is falling vacant, or as you know, and the applications have been invited. And Honorable Katutu is one of the, we are encouraging him to apply. So from this committee, we are giving him we are backing him. So, again.
So there are issues, because as I said earlier on, that I'm not a member, and I was privileged to find the commission here, of the committee. So I wanted to raise some issues to the commission, not for the minister. And I want to be very fast, if permitted, Mr. Chairman. Now, there is relevant, no, but I am not irrelevant. Mr. Chairman, the first issue, I raised it to this committee one time, and the solution has not been taken from the commission. There are a number of returning officers who were implicated in judgments, and up to now they are still serving. And I wonder how those people are going to continue. One of them I want to state on record is Margaret Mohindo, and the judgment is not by justice. Secondly, I want to find out what is happening with the LC1 elections. Of course, they fail to gazette them, and we have a lot of petitions in the court. And the magistrates are stating they cannot proceed without the results being gazetted. And I was hearing the Secretary General of NRM saying that they won every area of Uganda. I don't know why she bases that, but the commission should tell us.
Is that also in dispute?
I can have that outside here, but being on record, but where there are disputes, definitely. Then, Mr. Chairman, the last two issues I am raising, the issue of roadmap. I am one of those people who have somebody who's going to stand for president, and we brought our letters to your commission, but we have failed to move out, to meet people as per your legislation for consultations. What is your take on that? Then finally, Justice Byamukama, let me put this on record. You talk very well. When you raise your cause, you pick us. Could you kindly...
Is it Byamukama or another justice?
Yeah, Chairman, Electoral Commission, sir. I'm raising this matter seriously. Mr. Chairman, we get problems. We have arguments. We have statements we make. And I want to pray to the commission. Go back and talk to your spokesperson to reduce on his arrogance. The spokesperson of the commission. When you raise issues, he knows him. He's called Talimwa. I think he's Talimwa. He's also a commissioner. Kindly, the arrogance he's using in responding to issues raised to the commission put him on the political side. And it's very dangerous. I saw General Kari Kayura and other entities normally change spokespersons. This one is a permanent spokesperson of the commission. But arrogance from this gentleman is not making the commission move.
Examples of the arrogance, because you're making very serious allegation that would...
Mr. Chairman, at the right time, and fortunately even the House will sit next to each other, I will produce all those evidences.
You are not saying it in private.
But I'm saying that can you please,
you've made it public.
through the chair, can the chairman ask this gentleman to mind about his arrogance. And if at all there's arrogance, no, I'm on the floor, kindly. If you have a clarification you are seeking from me.
Now order.
Now order from fellow DP.
No, from a member of parliament. Mr. Chairman, I think fairness requires that one, the accused should be present and given an opportunity to defend himself. Secondly, that when you use the word arrogance against a public officer, it's an indictment. It's a charge sheet whose particulars should also be spelled out for proper defense. Notwithstanding the fact that I may have issues with Mr. Taremwa, everyone, however capricious, is entitled to a fair hearing and treatment. Is it in order for the Honorable Sawungu to behave as if he's NRM and therefore can accuse generally?
You see the honorable member from he raised the order and he spoiled his order again by also making serious allegations against the NRM, equating. Yeah, but the point made, I think he wanted to make this point. Yes, if you have an issue with the public officer, can be handled administratively. Yes, I would encourage you, like you're saying, one which court has already found out, like you mentioned the name, you're perfectly in order. In this regard, what do you think would be my ruling? It would be my ruling. So you are out of order to make such serious allegations. Yes, against
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, without giving, I asked you to give an example, you couldn't. Yes, honorable member, you've not been on record, and I want to see of your former senior colleague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry I was late. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank the Minister of Finance. But when we last left here, we had agreed that the Electoral Commission would sit down. The Electoral Commission would sit down with the Minister of Finance and furnish the committee what they had agreed on. Unfortunately, they did not conclude. And this matter is very serious, it is constitutional, and this committee would like to see the Electoral Commission really facilitated to carry out an election. What I'm asking, Mr. Chairman, is after their conclusion, when shall we have a feedback as a committee? Because we want this, the Minister of Finance committed.
If there will be need to have, because I don't think we shall be here for. Yeah, but you're making a big point, a very valid point.
I think, Chairman, Honorable Kajara is saying, not an election. The law requires them to carry out a free and fair election. We are tired of elections. We want a free and fair election.
But even just to carry out the election, they need, that's a constitutional mandate, to carry out regular, free and fair election. The Minister of Finance made commitments here that there will be, did you say free and fair election, or there will be election?
Mr. Chairman and colleagues, the Electoral Commission will be facilitated to conduct a fair and a free election.
No, the rest we want to hear. And the Honorable Minister, I would implore you that you share either jointly, it would be from Minister of Finance, that what is agreed upon, so that we also update our, as we speak now, we've been waiting for your input so that we can harmonize our figures as we go to the budget committee, because we make resolutions it comes to the House, is adopted, and there's nothing. Now, for this election to take place, we needed to interact with you. And I thought he was not here, but I had already thanked you for coming here. So I want to thank you again. Yes, there are some issues you want to...
No. Just a procedural point so that we all understand how we are going to proceed. As I told you, we have agreed to by Friday. It could be even tomorrow, it could be even the day after. Now, what I want to know, do you want me to write to you on what we have agreed, or do I write to the Electoral Commission?
I think when you write to the Electoral Commission, you probably tell us
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Abdul Katuntu. I am a Member of Parliament for Ugwe County. Of course, when you come late, you run the risk of repeating what colleagues have already said. But on that particular point, this is the direction of the committee. You can't write to the Electoral Commission. So you write to the committee and copy it to the Electoral Commission. But point of the agreement, and if they also point of disagreement, you also put them in the writing too.
I think that's what I wanted to say. Because this process is going to involve the budget committee. We are fighting whatever.
that information will be public. Because, Honorable Minister, there are those who are not either ready for elections. They will find any small reason to take away the hope and paint a picture that there is going to be chaos, there will be no election. Just because they are not ready for election. And such people are not Honorable Segona. Honorable Segona, I'm sure is going to win again. You told me one the other year when we were doing the age limit. I do not know the opinion poll now. I will carry out the opinion poll. But I want to thank you so much. And we expect to hear from you within the course of this week. And we get to conclude this matter. Thank you so much. Did the Chairman of the Electoral Commission want to respond to Honorable Sewungus on the Muhindu? Huh? Why would the court indict and then you are recycling the same person? What credibility would you have?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and the Honorable Members. Responding directly to Honorable Sewungu's concern.
Mr. Chairman, it is not the first time we are raising this question about that particular lady. We have raised
Actually,
it.
as we talk now, that lady is no longer an employee of the Electoral Commission. She's no longer an employee. And secondly, for the other officers who were mentioned in the court judgment as their culpability in some of these electoral wrongs, we have reviewed those judgments and we are no longer deploying them as returning officers. If there is any one of them, please bring him to attention, Honorable Sewungu. We shall act. We are open 24 hours. Last week we didn't see you. We had a delegation from DP with the President and other members. We had fruitful discussions. You are welcome.
If you didn't see him,
The LOCs.
Okay.
The LOCs, Honorable Chair. The LOCs, the law is not very clear on gazetting the outcome of the elections LOCs. It talks of the results of the constituency. Now, we do not know whether one would interpret the LOC also to amount to a constituency. Secondly, the other factor is the cost. The cost of gazetting these elections from 67,000 villages in the country. We didn't have those funds.
So finance
The budget went in billions for gazetting.
I think the latest decision from court is that there is no requirement to gazette them before you even go.
You have that judgment?
Yeah, I can do it.
Honorable Sewungu, as a fresh lawyer,
On consultations, maybe.
By the way, he's a fresh law graduate.
Congratulations.
And he's at
Honorable.
LDC, right?
Even then, Mr. Chairman.
But you wait, the chairman is...
We invite him to do clerkship at the electoral commission when the time comes.
No. Mr. Chairman, clerkship is from places where someone has something to learn.
Okay. Now, Honorable Sewungu, now you've given an opportunity, and by the way, that was very relevant concern. You know, there are so many people who have issues with the registrars and what. So that has been a communication to not only to him, but to everyone.
Even where you have said that I've been ruled out of order, I will produce my evidence.
Okay.
I am consistent in what I'm saying. I will produce, and I want to put it on record, that where the Local Government Act is not clear, you refer to the Parliamentary Elections Act in any election. Let us address ourselves to that. The issue is about money, and it's very right. Yeah, once there is no any provision in the Local Government Act elections, you go to the Parliamentary Elections Act, you use that one. But what my good friend, the Chairman of the Commission has stated, is that he has no money. That's the only issue.
Okay.
Now, the others, it's not about
But also we need to know the import of gazetting.
Chairman,
the rationale of gazetting LC1s. Just all those. LC1, LC3s, LC2, MPs. You see, LC5. Why is the law silent on LC1s? If it was so important, why did the law, why should you adopt the necessary, apply the Parliamentary Elections Act with the necessary modification? If the law was so clear and they attached a lot of importance to that, probably you can bring an amendment so that is clearly in the law, and upon that basis they can seek for funding. If they sought for funding where there is no legal requirement, then it will be wasteful expenditure. May I ask Honorable Katuntu, therefore, to see off?
I saw.
To see off the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Finance, and Honorable Sewungu to see off the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Yes. And members, you can hang on a bit for a very, very brief announcement. Yes. Thank you.